This morning I arrived in Lucerne, the starting point for a 2-week trip through the Swiss Alps. I've got with me a very good friend, Hersha, and we will be adventuring through 4 different regions, or as they say in the Swiss Alps, cantons. The first canton is called Vaud, formerly known as Lake Geneva region. Then we'll be heading to Valais, Bern, and finishing in Lucerne. This is going to be a good trip. We're spending our first few days here in the Vaud Alps, directly above Lake Geneva. It was surprisingly easy to get here by train. It took just over 2 hours from Geneva, and it hugged the edge of the lake, so there were some incredible views.
So today we were in Lucerne. It was downhill mountain biking, followed by paragliding. Pretty scary stuff. I didn't quite realise how gnarly the downhill bit would feel, but I went for it. I'm not going over any jumps or anything steep though, okay? Jenny can do that.
I really liked the motion of the berms, so like the rhythm that played out was awesome.
So after mountain biking, we hot-footed it up to the top of the mountain to go paragliding. That was probably, of everything we were going to do in this trip, the thing that I found the scariest. And it was like the second thing we did. And suddenly we're just floating over the Swiss Alps. And really cool to be following Jenny.
We went so close to the rock face, and then really loved that we spotted birds of prey. It was over really quickly though, and I'd like to do it again.
Finally, it's the end of the day, and we are in a place called Mpora. There are about 2 buildings. It's just so gorgeous. And we are about to go to sleep in a load of hay.
Waking up on a farm in the mountains in Switzerland was such a beautiful experience. You're just away from it all. The Mpora family had put on a great breakfast spread for us. What was cool was obviously all the produce there was all from their farm. The cheese, the yogurt, fresh eggs.
Nicholas runs a biodynamic farm, and this morning was all about making cheese, the Letiva cheese that he's been making for centuries. It was like I'd gone back in time. There was Nicholas in his kitchen with this huge cauldron and this fire, and then he was heating up the milk to a certain temperature and then turning it, and then it started to become thicker. It had to be not too wet and not too dry, and then it'll be ready to go on to the next step. It was absolutely fascinating. And I couldn't have predicted what would happen during a cheese-making day. I had a milk bath, and apparently it's really good for your skin. So I've managed to tick off spa treatment within cheese-making. My skin feels great though. So this is something that families or couples can do. They can come to the farm, spend a night or 2 or however long they want there, hike to the co-op where the cheeses are all kept and aged and taken care of before they're sold. I've learned so much today. If you come from a city like me, you forget how nature just does its own thing, and if we as humans just work with nature, you can really see some incredibly beautiful results. We started off today in Les Diablerets to do Via Ferrata. I literally had no idea what that was before today.
So the Via Ferrata was a bit like climbing. It's metal staples in the wall and metal wire cable that you hold on to. I took on board all the instructions that we were given from Jeremy. Jeremy was brilliant. You had 2 carabiners, you clip them basically from section to section as you went. So you would never ever fall that far, but the slippiness and the loose cable element really caught me off guard. I think Hersha knew that I was quite nervous because I suddenly went really quiet and she looked at me and was like, wait a minute, you're meant to be like the brave one.
You get this kind of access that you wouldn't usually get. And it's pretty high intensity. It's the kind of access you'd get if you're an experienced climber, but because you've got these ledges, these staples, and feel like you're safely strapped in, we managed to do some of the stuff that, that I would never imagine that I'd be able to do.
After that first section, it was a little bit drier, there was nice rock holds, and I felt like I improved in what I was doing. And I'm really glad that I carried on and I wouldn't have got to the waterfall, which I absolutely loved too. It was like this gem of a prize at the end of the trail. Hence why the route is called De la Cascade, meaning waterfall. Then we had the opportunity to go up Glacier 3000 all the way to the top, 2 gondolas, and then we were at this incredible bridge, which was completely foggy when we first got there, and then it cleared as we got to the entranceway. Definitely could feel that we were at a very high altitude. But again, amazing views, all the mountainous area around. Really, really enjoyed that experience. Today I arrived in Valais. The Swiss call this region the heart of the Alps, and you can see why. Home to some of the most spectacular mountains in Europe. We started in the region of Dent du Midi, and this is Morjan. That's where we set off on our bikes, our e-bikes.
I love e-bikes.
Loving the e-bike.
It's the best day ever. I think after the adrenaline-packed day yesterday, having the opportunity to enjoy the scenery was just the ticket. Yeah, it's been that kind of day. It's been really nice. And the weather's been spectacular.
Great guiding as well from Corinne.
Yeah.
And actually she's mentioned that there's some other sort of slightly more dynamic trails that we could go and have a little go at. Do you fancy that?
I'm just eating cake today, babe.
So in Morjan, there's a great bike park, but then also there's an amazing downhill World Cup track, which is in Champéry. But I'm going to head to Le Creuset because there are some wicked trails there too.
So today we're in Vezona, and do I look really zen right now? Because I'm feeling it. So we've spent today doing pretty much the opposite of yesterday. We have been doing yoga and very calm, chilled trail walking. Like I woke up this morning and my shoulders, my entire body was aching and tight, and Samantha, our yoga teacher, swooped in, took us up these amazing, beautiful trails in the forest, and along the way there were these clearings where we stopped off to do a yoga pose, which she talked us through with her calm French accent.
Slowly take a deep breath and inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The yoga trail took us through 7 different stops. Samantha guided us through almost like a mini yoga session for each stop. And you have some seated positions, some standing, some are a bit trickier than others because you've got uneven ground. And then you finish on a final platform to end your yoga trail session, which is extremely relaxing. And you're in the deep forest, which was amazing.
As soon as she told us to kind of take a breath and be with our mind and body, and I looked up and I just saw these trees and sky, I just suddenly felt overcome with emotion and really happy.
So this yoga trail, took us about an hour and a half, but there was that real part of me was like, oh, I would love to just stick around. They do week-long retreats, but obviously we can't because we're adventuring on.
So we're in in Swisstainably today. It's a really, really cute little village that's completely car-free, so you have to get around on foot or on these really cool little electric-looking milk float things.
And also in Swisstainably, it's got the dome, which is the highest peak in Switzerland, 4,545 metres high. Also, because we stayed overnight, it's awesome here. You get given a free lift pass for anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, man. So we're about to do an adventure trail hike today. Loads of kind of rickety suspension bridges, do you think? Rope bridges. We're yet to know what we're going to come across. It's going to be a good surprise, but I think it's going to be pretty mellow with hopefully a few little dicey sections to get the blood pumping.
Yeah.
And a really good opportunity to get to know each other, I think.
Oh my God, I bet I can guess your star sign. If you were a biscuit, what kind of biscuit would you be? So would you rather have like a poppadom for hands or breadstick for feet? Jenny, what's your favourite cheese?
So you can see behind us Swisstainably, where we started this morning, then we hopped on the free bus and we're now in Frugstagen.
And the adventure trail begins here and ends at Almagella Alp, where I think we're going to have some lovely lunch.
We started the day in Betma Alp and we got up super early to go and do some yoga, but yoga on an SUP. So I've done supping and I've done yoga, but I've not done the two together. It was so calm, so it's really quite easy to paddle the sups out into the middle of the lake. And then we began our yoga practice. And there was definitely something about being on the lake that had a real calming effect.
There was a moment where I think my paddleboard sort of slowly turned round and I was doing some breathing and I opened my eyes and I could see straight down the valley and it was so beautiful, like my lips started quivering. I don't know if it was caught on film, but I was kind of overwhelmed by it. It was stunning. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever done, I think. After breakfast, we went to check out the Ige Glacier, which is the longest glacier in Europe.
What amazed me is actually how deep it is, because I thought, there's not much underneath it, but it's about 800 metres deep. So when you looked across at the other rock face, you could actually see the line that would have been where the glacier was at 150 years ago, and it's just receding so much. We were told it's actually receding 20 centimetres every day. Just something to think about.
So after the glacier, we went from Betma Alp and travelled through Ige Arena to Rieda Alp. And what's really cool about this town is that it's another carless area. So hopped on the public bus across the village up to Rieda Alp.
It was really nice to see the glacier from a different angle and again walk along the ridgeline down through the terrain, where we then ended up at this villa castle. It's been actually a really lovely day. So this part of Valais, I feel like, is quite a hidden gem. Last night I arrived here in the Bern region, where we'll be spending the next 3 days. As you can see, it's absolutely stunning. We'll be experiencing as much as we can, from Europe's highest train station all the way down to the ice blue lakes surrounding Interlaken.
We've just spent our first day in the town of Interlaken. This morning we started off kayaking with our mate Dave from Manchester on Lake Briance. I was a little bit nervous, but then I saw the lake.
So still.
So still. Crystal clear, absolutely beautiful. Once we got to sort of those cliff faces, I felt like I was in Greece.
Awesome views. It almost looked like the lake just carried on to nothing.
It was
didn't
like
it?
an infinity pool,
Yeah.
you were saying.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Then after the lake, we then had a little pit stop for lunch and then headed straight to the whitewater rafting.
Welcome to rafting! Put your paddles up!
That's when Hirsch definitely got a little bit nervous, didn't he?
My terrified level went straight back up again. You were well up for it.
Yeah, I was. I've been whitewater rafting a few times. I thought, let's have a little bit of carnage, bit of rapids, bit of having to paddle. But we had this brilliant guide called Hudson.
Yeah.
We got our timing good with our paddling.
Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2.
And obviously it was absolutely beautiful to come down this river.
So this morning we took the Geneva Platter train up the mountain.
And as we came out of Interlaken, there were just some stunning views that we got. And obviously we could see the 3 very famous mountains. We got the Ige, the Monk, and the Jungfrau.
We arrived at the Alpine Garden, which is set on the hills, and there are about 750 different varieties of flowers grown here. And we met up with one of the coolest dudes ever, Paul, who's worked here for 25 years. And he knows everything about every flower. There was this one called yellow gentian, which is good for iron.
Yeah, performance enhancing.
Oh, I need a bit of that.
Yeah.
The one that I think we were most obsessed with was called
the radiola.
Yeah, radiola rosea, which is really good for everything. Burnout, gastroenteritis, fatigue. Paul's favourite was arnica. That's his first love, he said.
And then also Edelweiss, which was a beautiful little flower that everybody knows from Switzerland. Oh, what was also incredible was seeing how Paul used really old school style scythe to cut the grass, and rather than the modern day string that they're using.
I thought this is a really nice thing to do, like a bit like the cheese tour. It was really nice to just learn a bit more about where we were and what, like the environment that we're in. So now we're heading out of Interlaken into the Jungfrau region.
Yes, we're going to Lauterbrunnen, which we've heard is incredible, and there are a lot of waterfalls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. Oh, cool. So late afternoon yesterday, we arrived in Wengen and we took the royal ride up to this viewpoint, and it was pretty epic, wasn't it?
Yeah, on that ride up, we got to go on top of the gondola rather than inside.
Oh yeah, I did the Titanic behind you.
And then from there, we got an incredible view of the north face of the Ige. Today, we took the train from Wengen all the way up to Jungfrau Joch. It's Europe's highest train station, standing at 3,454 metres high. The very first thing you see is the Monk.
On a clear day, if you look one way, you can see the Black Forest of Germany, and then the other way, all the way to Marseille in France.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were feeding the birds. One landed on her head.
Then we got to go through the glacier that we'd a few days ago been viewing. We were now at the very top of it, and we were going through the ice. I loved it.
It was really cool. It was really fun as well, really slippy.
And then we're hit with Jungfrau. It's an amazing mountain to look at so close, especially when you see all the climbers going up the face, and they're just tiny. They look tiny. It's quite a special moment, I thought, to have seen all of those peaks. And now we're going to jump on this bad boy behind me, the Ige Express. Starts off at the Ige Glacier, takes us just 15 minutes to zip down to the bottom.
To Grindelwald, which is the final spot, and that is the end of our time in the Bern region. I feel a bit emotional now. Should we hug it out? Bye, Bern.
We've reached the Lake Lucerne region in central Switzerland, home to historic sites, picturesque lakes, and legendary mountain towns. We are in Engelberg. We woke up in the hope that we would be going mountain biking. However, we got up the mountain and the weather just came in on us. It was just full of cloud and rain. We found it a little bit tricky to find Kilian.
Maybe down that way?
But I do know that there are some really challenging trails, and it would have been cool to have checked them out. This isn't really working.
No, it's not really the conditions for mountain biking. Should we sack it off?
Yeah. We thought while we were up the mountain, why not go up to the very top and check out the glacier? Again, it was a glacier that we could go inside of.
And yeah, that was kind of it for the day. but we got to enjoy our hotel, the lovely ski lodge, have a bit of a down day. Hopefully tomorrow the weather will clear and we can enjoy some Via Ferrata. The weather cleared up, yes! We decided to do the Brunistock Via Ferrata, which is a slightly easy Via Ferrata compared to the one we did a few days ago. And it was perfect for our level.
Katrina took us up. It was dry, like really fun trying to use the rock to climb rather than just hanging onto a wire. There were some fun little bridges to try and cross. Finish at the top, amazing views, and then, yeah, just a stroll back down.
It was the right mix of adrenaline and sort of chilled calmness to enable us to enjoy it. Feel like we were being a little bit gnarly, but not too gnarly, which is kind of my level, and looking forward to more tomorrow.
It is the last day of our trip and we are in Andermatt and we've just completed the Diavolo Via Ferrata. Diavolo means devil in Italian and it starts at the Devil's Bridge. So it seemed maybe it was a bit eerie at the start, but it wasn't. We were excited for it. There was loads more hand staples and footholds. So it's like really, really long ladders, effectively. So it's just up, up, up.
Yesterday's Via Ferrata was great, but this one, it was just really, really fun. It wasn't very tiring. There were a lot of sort of iron things to hold on to, but also bits of cliff, and it really felt like we were rock climbing. And the views were epic, and just, yeah, I just had to take a minute there when we were kind of halfway up, and I looked out across the valleys, just thinking, wow, like I'm so lucky to have experienced this.
So that's it, the end of our amazing 2-week trip around the Swiss Alps. Absolutely stoked to have shared it with Hersha.
Oh, thank you. It's been amazing. I mean, we have been out of our comfort zone a few times trying all this new stuff, but it's been so cool.
Yeah, we did the Via Ferrata, paragliding,
The kayaking.
yeah, oh my God, there's been heaps. We learned all about the plants.
With Paul.
With
He was
Paul,
great.
Yeah. All the guides have been really interesting.
Yeah.
They brought loads to the table. We've learned
Yeah.
heaps about Switzerland, the cheese making.
Yeah, and all the different terrain and the views and the landscape. It's just incredible and amazing to share it with you.
Yes, Hersh. It was I'm so glad you've been on this trip with
Yeah,
me.
me too.
Okay, it's good.
Time to pack our bags and head home.